A few weeks ago, I had the chance to be interviewed by my friend Joel Sedekase over at the Think Institute, and the topic of the interview was science and faith. Now, I wanted to take some of the clips from that interview and isolate them for the purposes of quick references to some important questions or topics that I could share over here on the Catalyzing Faith channel. So, in this clip, we're just addressing the question of how do science and faith interact? And you'll see I give a pretty quick answer, but I believe it's a thorough enough answer to get us started. So, enjoy.
So, Lucas, I wanted to talk to you today about it's a topic that has come up a lot on our podcast, on our show, but it's the relationship between science and Christianity. And right now, there seem to be three views that are popular. The first one is that Christianity is not scientific, and that's important. The second one is Christianity is scientific, and that's important. And then the third one is it doesn't matter whether Christianity is scientific, whether just because science doesn't matter or because they're non-overlapping magisteria, that sort of thing. So just kicking things off right there, which view do you subscribe to? Put your cards on the table, and then let's get into why you believe that.
Okay, so the view I subscribe to, you'll have to pin it into one of those categories, but I call it more of a qualified agreement model. So with that, basically, okay, starting point, God created the universe and God gave us the scriptures. Okay, so if we study God's creation and we study God's word and we do them correctly, we're going to converge upon truth, right? The truths in one are going to coincide with the truths in the other. Now, they're not perfectly overlapping, right? There's some theological truths that aren't strictly scientific. You know, the doctrine of the Trinity, that's not something you're testing in a lab. But the doctrine of creation, the fact that the universe had beginning, that everything we see around us had beginning, that's something that seems to be both theologically relevant and scientifically relevant. So in some of these areas where they do overlap, if you do them correctly, they will agree with one another. That's kind of the general principle. Now, what that means to do them correctly is kind of where you get into the weeds a little bit. I know that was a brief answer to a very complex question, but I hope it at least gets the wheels turning on how to understand the relationship between science and faith. But if you're interested in digging deeper, the link to the full interview is included in the description below, so be sure to hop on over to the Think Institute to check that out. And while you're there, consider subscribing to the Think Institute in addition to subscribing here at Catalyzing Faith.